Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and I've been teasing this on Twitter for some time now. My first video with The Athletic, and that means Mr. Sam Lee back on a video to a rapturous sound of applause from all the commenters there. We've been trying to get him back on the channel for a while, according to people, the tweets and all that kind of stuff, but he's finally here due to the partnership with The Athletic, the new home of football writing, the best coverage of Manchester City that you'll find anywhere, due to this guy here, if he doesn't say so himself, and it's actually true. And a world-class team of writers as well, including Sam, David Ornstein, Danny Taylor, Michael Cox, Jack Pitbrook, another blue, I think on the slide there, but not another blue actually, we won't get into that. And then Rafa Honigstein, and absolutely loads of people. It's completely ad-free, there's no ads and all that kind of stuff, and you can save 50% today on your subscription over at www.theathletic.co.uk/esteemed company. It's like an introductory offer. It's only about £2.50 a month. I actually signed up before I got this partnership, genuinely, so I could have got it for free. I wish I'd known.
No.
But oh well, gutted, but it's worth every single penny, and I've really enjoyed the writing so far. Have you enjoyed being part of it so far? Because it feels different, doesn't it? It feels different.
I mean, I don't want people to think this is like a massive advert, but
It essentially is.
You know,
but it's worth it though.
The way journalists talk to each other, everyone's like, "Oh, what's it like with The Athletic? What's it like with the new job?" Genuinely, I love it. Like, it's great. I won't. No one really cares, but I love it. It's the editorial support. You speak to really switched on people every day. They give you ideas. I go to them with ideas. They say, "Oh yeah, we can maybe do it this way. Maybe do it this way." Really supportive. You know, they want to do good work. There's not a bit of a target on our backs, but like, you know, when you create a new thing, and you know, we kind of say, you know, it's the best team of football writers or whatever, which it is, to be fair. But you know, there's a high standard you've got to live up to.
Is it like being in a Manchester City squad all of a sudden? You've got all these world-class players around you.
Exactly.
You just have to like level up your writing because of that.
Yeah, but so like I say, there's a high standard to live up to. But the best thing about it is, obviously, everyone focuses on some of the writers you mentioned and all the others who are fantastic. But the editors, they're kind of like the unsung heroes because they're pushing with great ideas. And there's just everything you need there to live up to those high expectations. I know I haven't practiced this, obviously. But this is what I'm telling people when they ask, because I'm
well, it's genuinely true. I've read countless articles now, and it feels like you can tell that you've got time to put some more effort into your craft and all that kind of stuff, and actually create pieces. And obviously, you were a great writer beforehand, but that space and that support, I can imagine, really drives you on. And it's totally worth it. As I said, it's a link in the description. You can get 50% off your subscription, your annual subscription, at athletic.co.uk/esteemed company. I highly recommend it. But today, as I talked about, we're going to talk about Watford a little bit. Guardiola's just done his press conference. Not loads to report. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Go with some questions as well for some Twitter. And then we'll just talk about Manchester City. So we'll go to the Watford game. This is a good one for City, really, isn't it? Could it be a more perfect game after last weekend?
It's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one to have. I mean, look, if they'd had Liverpool at home, or United at home, or Chelsea at home,
actually,
they'd have been up for it as well.
Exactly.
The only kind of problem with Watford is new manager in. They look good against Arsenal in the second half, but then again, like significantly better than Arsenal. There's a bit of a weakness. They did. But again, they deserved it against Arsenal. You know, so they might be able to worry City in not even spells. I'd say maybe the odd attack. But if City are on their game, you know, from the front, winning the ball high up, just pegging them back with pressure, that is surely going to be enough. There's a bit of a weak spot in midfield because Rodri's been great. I do think teams get the defence a bit more with him in the team, which is inevitable.
He's learning, isn't it, and all that kind of stuff.
Written about that, exactly. Yeah, look, the City staff expect that. They know it's going to happen. There's certain things he needs to improve on his game. Like I say, I've written about it already. So that's going to happen. But it does mean that the defence will be exposed. And now it's not a defence that likes being exposed.
For obvious reasons.
We all know what's like. I think I'll probably appreciate Otamendi a bit more than a lot of City fans do, I think. Just because, or maybe it's just, you know, an overreaction after the bad moments, a lot of people. But look, he has his ups, but he has his downs as well. And whenever he gets exposed, he loses his head a bit. And that is going to be an issue because obviously with Stones being out for another month or so, and obviously Laporte, it's going to be Otamendi. So then, you know, a lot of it comes down to Fernandinho. But all that said, even if they do get exposed, even if, you know, Watford have the odd attack, I I think everyone's still expecting an easy City win.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the record, the last 5 games, City won them all, obviously, including like the 6-0 in the FA Cup, and obviously they'll want a bit of retribution for that, of course. But then City have got 20 goals, conceding only 3 in the last 5 games. So usually this is it's normally a banker for City. But having said that, football isn't that simple. The Premier League isn't that simple. One guy's missing is Troy Deeney, which will make a little bit of an effect. You can imagine him being up for this kind of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, the new manager syndrome, all that kind of stuff. Do you think we'll see any kind of changes though from Guardiola? In the press conference, he was bigging up Gabriel Jesus. He was bigging up Riyad Mahrez. He talked a lot about, in general, about how, what was the quote? He said he felt, after watching the replay of the game against Norwich, I was not that upset. I was more upset about Newcastle. What's your take on this?
Yeah, no, it was the same, because I was down at Norwich asking the questions afterwards, and he mentioned the Newcastle. No, to be fair, I asked him about the Newcastle game, because I said, after a game like this, after a defeat, how do you, what do you say to the players? Because normally, whenever they lose, fine, they lost the 2 over Christmas, but after that, whenever they lose, they get back on it straight away and they just carry on and go on like incredible runs. So I asked, how they do that, and he mentioned the Newcastle game because he said they forgot to play. Which my memory of that was, I asked him about that after the game.
Yeah, I feel like he said that as well.
Yeah, because after the Newcastle game, he said, "Oh, I know the reasons why." So I went, "What were those reasons?" And he said, "You've had problems with like forgetting to play." Recently, like I think he said it against Huddersfield, he said it against Wolves, blah blah blah, and he was like, "Oh no, we know we've won 8 games in a row. We don't need to worry. Like, come on, my friend, this kind of stuff." And then it's always like 6 months down the line, he'll forget he covered up, but obviously he's just covering for the players.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
See, whether he says he's happy with the Newcastle game or not, fine. There was that forgetting to play thing and the pressing, and to be fair to City, in the second half, even from. If Otamendi hadn't made that mistake for their 3rd goal, I'm sure City would have gone and got that equaliser. Because even from 2 or 3 minutes at the start of the second half, Norwich were properly deep, and you think City would have got there eventually. I'm just not sure.
Do you feel?
I'm not sure exactly how happy he would be. He did say the other night at Norwich, I think he said he was happy with the high pressing and this kind of stuff, but there were things that weren't going on.
No, you're right.
The other night against Shakhtar, people were saying, "Oh, Gundogan's done really well today. Where was this Gundogan against Norwich?" And it's like, I'm sure Guardiola was maybe thinking that as well.
Yeah.
The circumstances are different.
Reaction.
There's more space. There's more space for Gundogan. He was playing a different role. He was filling in for a different player. There's different responsibilities on him. So it was different. But I don't know. I mean, a replay of the game against Norwich. I mean, to be fair, if he's thinking it was mainly errors, which is kind of what I wrote about the game. Which is kind of goals, true too. The near posting at corners, which they need to sort out, but they know they need to sort that out. They've been working on it for ages. And the other goals. The second was just like a collection of... It was a massive team error, basically. The whole defence just crumbled. The third one was just a crazy thing. Other than that, they didn't concede too many chances. They weren't great going forward.
Yeah, they were
without those kind of sucker punches. And look, Norwich were great. I doubt any Norwich fans are going to watch this. But if they are, Norwich were genuinely fantastic.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
But I don't know, just without those sucker punches... And look, this is how football goes. But Guardiola watches it and he'll think... What I wanted them to do, did they do it? And apart from those sucker punches, apart from those things that he might be able to fix, and with Fernandinho, he'll maybe improve things, and Rodri, not letting the defence get exposed so often as he learns, he probably did watch it and go, well, this wasn't so bad, it's not a big disaster. It's just, is Otamendi going to keep making mistakes in individual moments? So
what was your...
Probably not, I would say.
What was your take on Fernandinho against Shakhtar? He was good, wasn't he? I think that's pretty obvious. Do you think he's going to struggle in the Premier League? I mean, not overly struggle because he's Fernandinho and stuff, but obviously Watford is a different proposition to Shakhtar entirely, and so is the Premier League.
I don't know.
It's tough, isn't it, to say, I guess?
I think from the start of the season, I was convinced Fernandinho was going to be playing sooner rather than later. But I don't know whether it took those injuries to come in for that to happen. But my impression was, not necessarily based on information, just how I thought Fernandinho would do. My impression was that it would be Laporte and Fernandinho pretty soon anyway. Because I was like, I think he's got the potential to be a better centre-back than Stones.
It's a big claim.
Otamendi. Obviously Stones has got the potential to be a great centre-back.
Yes.
But this season, I think Guardiola would have more trust in Fernandinho. And I think he's got the potential to be a better centre-back for City this season than either of the other two. So I was always thinking he was going to come in and do it. Now, obviously, we've got the injuries. This is the situation we're in now. This is what's in front of us.
Do you feel like...
I still think I think at the moment he's City's best centre back.
Do you feel like Guardiola, and I'm going to explain why I come from this, do you feel like Guardiola's lost a little bit of trust in John Stones in general? Because you remember a couple of years back when he talked about Stones having the biggest balls in the room, all that kind of stuff. And then famously when he kind of went out the side and he talked about needing certain mentality and certain leaders, and he felt like not a barbed comment, but you feel like that wasn't the kind of comments he was making about Stones 2 years ago. And obviously it was Vincent Kompany coming in, and at one point, like, Otamendi, Kompany and Laporte were all ahead of Stones. And given, like, the comments they used to make him, I started to wonder if he's lost a little tiny bit of faith in. I mean, there are rumours today about him maybe getting a new contract. I'm not sure how deep into that, but
I've seen that.
Yeah, do you feel like there's a little bit to prove for John Stones at the moment?
Oh, there's a lot to prove. Yeah, a lot to prove for sure. I think
in the eyes of Pep, maybe.
Yeah. That's probably the more pertinent question.
Yeah,
because the thing is, the whole comment in the first season about the balls and all that, it's to build him up, because obviously the sense with Stones is just kind of a confidence thing. So he's building him up. But I think it's got to that stage now, and there were quotes in pre-season where Guardiola was like, "Oh, he needs to realise that bad things can happen in football. Setbacks. Not everyone can play a perfect game."
Yeah,
and the way he finished it was a kind of it's up to him kind of thing. It like the ball's in his court kind of thing. So I think that is fair to say. I don't know. Well, I don't know in terms of frustration. I know that going into this season, what they all hoped, the coaching staff, what they hoped was he would be more consistent. If he not necessarily a mistake, because he doesn't make too many mistakes or mistakes leading to goals, but just a bad game, or his confidence gets knocked, or he gets injured and comes back, because that's normally been the problem. He's been playing well, gets injured, and then comes back, and it takes him a while to get back in the rhythm.
Yeah.
So that was the big issue as far as the coaching staff were concerned going into the season, the confidence thing. What I don't know is how frustrated Guardiola is about it. But looking into the quote and that kind of thing, it's a bit more now, like, less building him up and saying how brilliant it is. It's a bit more, well, he's good, but let's see it, basically. And it is time to see it. It's the fourth season now. I mean, he's been here for a while now. I like Stones, but it feels like he's injured every other game at the moment, in terms of he spends just as much time injured as he's just playing. And there are some question marks, and you feel like he's not quite grown into the definitive answer to the Vincent Kompany role, which is a big ask, to be fair. But it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. We'll quickly touch on centre-backs anyway, because obviously we've got that City got that crisis at the moment. How do you see any of these young lads being used? Eric Garcia, Taylor Howard-Bellis. My approach, sadly, is cynicism, because I used to be Mr. Academy, and I feel like in general these days the exact opposite of what I want to happen is going to happen usually. So I mean, Preston, surely Eric Garcia. I think Eric will play at Preston. Guardiola genuinely rates Eric Garcia. He has done since he signed in 2017. Howard-Bellis obviously has made a big impression since pre-season, but he's not training with the squad that regularly as Eric is. So I'd imagine Eric would play. Who would play with him? Just Otamendi, I guess. I guess the best thing about Otamendi was in that Centurion season, he just played all the time. And Guardiola loved that. And probably the best thing for his consistency is probably to keep playing.
He needs games, doesn't he?
So I wouldn't be surprised. They played together. I think it was Leicester last season. There was probably other occasions where those two played together. So I'd imagine Eric Garcia will play. People ask me though in like the Q&As on The Athletic.
Yeah.
Can you see Eric playing in the Premier League anytime soon? I think it's going to be another injury for that.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see that happening unless some kind of massive crisis. Like I can even see. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I can even see like Walker playing there ahead of him in terms of a.
Somebody said to me the other day they could see Rodri playing there. I don't think Walker. I was having the conversation about Walker and just general stuff. But I think it might have even been before Laporte got injured. Just having a conversation with somebody who kind of switched on to what City are doing, and we just mentioned Walker at centre back, and he was like, "No way!" Like in the back four, just no way.
The back three,
because in the back three it could work because there's less pressure on him to build up the play. But obviously Walker's really good. Obviously, he's got competent on the ball. He can use it well enough, and he switches the play really well.
Yeah.
But in a back four, him being one of the two, I don't see that working.
Yeah, getting the ball.
I hadn't even thought of Rodri at centre back until somebody mentioned it the other day, but I'm still not sure.
Someone said to me, Cruyffian V, you can imagine Fernandinho and Rodri at centre back. We're going to be one ahead of him. Imagine that. The passes.
Yeah, and the thing is with that, I mean, maybe if it was a proper crisis and it was only those two fit, then maybe they would. But it's almost like. He needs to learn his role for defensive midfield. Anyway, this is what we're talking about, the defence getting exposed. So, I mean, I think Garcia will start being on the bench a bit more. Obviously, he was in the week. Play against Preston. I can't see him coming in, though, unless it's really needed. It's a bit like the Foden situation. And Foden, he's been playing... He's been in the squad for like 2 or 3 years.
We'll get on to Foden in a bit. Quickly, then, just before the Watford game, then. So, we saw, obviously, Cancelo get a little bit of time.
As well. I wouldn't be surprised if Cancelo started.
Do you reckon?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, it's tough, isn't it? We'll try and go through the team because it's obviously going to be Edison goal. He's had quite a slow start to the season so far. I think most of the team have really. I think it's probably a fair. Yeah, he's like he was flapping a little bit the other day. I don't think he's fully at his best. I mean, I still love him. Don't get me wrong, but
I don't know. I think he's been really like Bournemouth. Obviously, he could have been sent off for killing that guy. But after that, it was just like you can't do anything about the free kick. The free kick was mental. But just everything, he catches corners. He's great at corners.
Yeah,
shot stopping. I don't think he's let himself. Oh, the Spurs game he has. See, I see what you mean. There's a few moments like that, but generally,
emotionally, as a City fan as well, you probably get more drawn into that kind of stuff. Yeah. Subjectively looking out, it's probably not quite as bad as you. I don't think he's bad. It's just.
I know what you mean. His kicking's still fantastic.
How far away do you think Mendy is?
From starting? Yeah. Well, I thought the plan was, 20 minutes first. And obviously, the other night was more like 5.
Yeah.
So maybe 20 minutes tomorrow if it's that kind of game.
You'll be on the bench definitely.
I would imagine, unless he's injured again.
Well, there's no reports of that in the press conference anyway, thankfully.
There wouldn't necessarily be.
Just wouldn't play him.
But 20 minutes on the bench. So, Edison, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Cancelo, Otamendi, Fernandinho, Zinchenko again.
I think at home against Watford is a great place for Cancelo, isn't it? Really, because Watford are going to be they'll obviously have that new manager rebound thing, but they're going to be a little bit wary about playing City. And it's a good. Well, I mean, if he's going to start any game at home, the team at the bottom of the league that we've won the last 5 games in a row against, it's got to be them really, hasn't it?
And then he could play against Preston
well,
again,
and then walk back after that. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I think that back four, Zinchenko kind of picks itself for now, including the left back. Until midfield, it's going to be Rodri, isn't it? In midfield. David Silva come back in, I think.
Yeah, we had the rest in midweek, so I guess so. David Silva back in, De Bruyne carries on.
Mahrez, do you think he'll start? I mean, Pep was really complimentary today in the press conference. He's talked a lot about how he loves to play and he's been training really well. And he was saying after the Shakhtar game how he's a lot more defensively switched on than he was last season. I think that's probably fair based off what I've seen. And Bernardo's not quite found the tenacity of his game yet, has he? He's like nearly there, but not quite there yet.
Which is weird because you wouldn't expect that. You just think he's so consistent and so hard-working and so good. It would just carry on, but
I think you realise how much, even though he's obviously so sublime technically, you kind of realise how much his game, it's not based around that energy, but how much he gets from that energy to his game. When it's not quite there, the pressing, it's quite notable, isn't it? But hopefully that'll be back. So I think it'll be Mahrez in the middle. What about Gabriel Jesus?
I kind of got a feeling he'll start. I mean, Guardiola said in the press conference he may be involved on Saturday, which is kind of like. It's more of a hint that he ever gives for team news. And the way he was talking about Aguero, it was kind of like, Aguero's great. Like you need to have a fantastic player if he's going to be rested or whatever. He scored in all the games. It was kind of like he was laying the groundwork so nobody asks tomorrow after the game. Oh, what's going on with Aguero? We'll be like, nothing. I've said yesterday. Like I said before, he's great. He scores all the time. But Jesus is playing really well. He had his injury, and you're right, Higgs. I thought he would play at Bournemouth, which is obviously when he got injured.
Yeah,
I thought he'd play at Bournemouth. He didn't. He's back. He was playing. He started the season well. He deserves a chance. He looked good the other night. Keep him in the team. Keep him fresh. And again, he could play against Preston. And then
he looks confident, doesn't he? He looks really confident at the moment, Gabriel Jesus. Obviously, as well as little things like how he's finally ditched his little Elo May kind of. It's almost like he's got a girlfriend now in Manchester, and he's become a man or something. Maybe not, but he just looks different. He feels different on the pitch, and it could be the season. We won't be the season.
He's another player like Stones, confidence.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell he really kind of thrives when he gets to run games, all that kind of stuff. And I think it'll be Sterling on the left one. I think that's kind of obvious.
Well, I was thinking he's played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Could maybe need a rest. Look a bit jaded. Because then if it's Bernardo on the left or Mahrez on the left, it doesn't quite work as well. And then Sterling, he's always fit. He doesn't need time to get back from injuries. He's always match ready. He could miss the game against Preston. That could be his rest. And then he can play again. So, I'd probably say Sterling's playing.
Yeah. So that's probably the team sorted. We'll go to a few questions on Twitter because I did put this on Twitter. We've got a few in general. Let's go to Malcolm Disco, which is an incredible name. I hope that's actually your surname, Malcolm. _Disco_. He said, ask Sam, even though you're tagged in that tweet, about Foden being happy with lack of game time. Have you heard any rumblings of discontent yet from Foden's camp? Because it must be frustrating for him.
From the camp, for sure. But that's been the case for about 6 months.
Yeah, well, I guess.
But what I always thought about that right at the start was, is it just people near him who think he should play? Because I used this example before. For example, his dad, and it's not his dad. I've no idea what his dad thinks. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's got a dad. I've no idea. But
he's a nice guy.
But you can imagine his dad would be pissed off because he's like, this is my son, he should be playing. That kind of thing. But Foden might be like, well, it's all right, I trust Guardiola.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But the thing is, it's the comments he's made while he's been with the under-21s. 6 months ago and the other week, when it was kind of like, look, I feel like I'm ready to play. I want to play. I think the vibe from him was one of frustration, because obviously something comes across in the quote, something comes across in kind of the way he answers the questions. It was my mate who asked him the questions, and that was the vibe he got. He's a bit annoyed. He's not chucking his toys out of the pram. I don't think he's pushing to leave. Well, he's not pushing to leave. He hasn't really got the constitution like Sancho, for example, where he's like, one, I'm going to go and I'm going to play somewhere else, and two, I'm going to move to Germany. Foden's not going to be moving to Germany to play football.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious.
He's happy where he is. And obviously, a part of that is he's a City fan, so that's a huge part of it. The other part of it is, he's a local lad. He's just kind of a home bird, basically. So, he's a bit frustrated, which I think anyone can imagine.
I feel like it's a make or break season. This, not make or break, but you know what I mean. In terms of, I feel like if he hasn't established himself as as someone to rely on the first team, by the time Silva's gone, I feel like Guardiola's going to sign someone else. I do worry about his need.
I wonder what that would actually mean come the end of the season.
Because I feel like I just feel like this is very critical this season. Because I think if he signs someone else, if he signs someone like, I don't know, from like I don't say it wrong, someone like him, all of a sudden Foden's behind a young lad and then you've still got maybe Bernardo ahead of him if he wants to play there, De Bruyne there, Gundogan still, and I feel like he needs game time this season, not because he's young, but because of what it could mean for next summer.
Yeah, well, I genuinely think the plan is for him to play much more next season.
It's so early on, isn't it? I guess,
but you're right. Actually, the way you do think, if he is given games. And look, the chances are if he's given games, he's going to do really well.
Yeah.
But like if he is given games here and there, and he plays like he did at Leicester at home, for example, which I'm not holding against him because no one played well against Leicester. All the fans were nervous. It was so edgy. The team was nervous. Kompany scored that goal, and that was fine. That's what he needed at that point. But he had a bad game. He wasn't ready. Like I say, I'm not holding that against him. But if he keeps having games like that, for example, towards the end of the season, then it might influence their thinking a bit. But
it's double-edged, isn't it?
Yeah,
the games
exactly. I don't think so. From what I hear, from what I think, from what I know, he's really going to get his chance next season. Which I wrote in an article recently. It sounds like just kicking the can down the road. It sounds like, he'll play in the future when people are saying he needs to play now. But I do think he'll play enough over this season. We'll probably see him against Preston.
Yeah.
I know that's not necessarily what people want to see him for, but he still needs those games. And I'm sure the Premier League games will happen throughout the season.
If he plays well against Preston, it could be one of those moments where it's like, well, look, if we need to see him looking like he owns the pitch a little bit more, don't we? I guess in general, fingers crossed he can do that. He kind of leaves a little bit though, because I talked about transfers then. I know you hate transfer questions, but it's part of the job. Adam MCSC94 said, "Is there any potential January signings? Have you heard about any rumours of plans next season at all in general, in terms of positions or anything like that?"
No, not yet.
It's early, isn't it?
Obviously it's going to be a centre-back. Obviously they're going to want a centre-back, just as they wanted a defensive midfielder last summer because they didn't get Jorginho the year before. So obviously they're going to want a centre-back. You don't need to be an expert for that. I can say other questions there about being in January.
Yeah.
What Guardiola said last week, you can never normally trust, not normally, but you can't always trust what managers say in press conferences regarding transfers.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about that is, it's completely understandable because it's not just finding the right player in January, it's finding them for the right price and are they willing to be sold. That was the beauty of Laporte with the buyout clause. But the other thing is the squad's full. Like they would have made more of an effort to sign an overseas centre-back in the summer if Otamendi had found a new club, which he wanted, but he couldn't find one. So they couldn't buy anyone in the summer. That was the problem. That hasn't changed. That's not going to change by January. Which foreign player they're going to sell in the middle of the season to make that happen?
It's not going to happen, is it?
Unlikely. Maybe if somebody says, "Oh, do you want to sell Otamendi?" They'll be like, "Hold on, yeah," and then they'll go and look at the people they are looking for, and they'll go, "Oh," and then something might fall into place. But it's genuinely unlikely, and I think that's most likely why Guardiola said that. So centre back is going to be a big one, most likely for next summer. It's probably the kind of one. Like Rodri, they'll be looking to tie up around March, April. As for other positions, I don't know. I mean, I'd imagine they'd be finding out now, but in terms of me finding out exactly what they want, is much later in the season.
Yeah,
maybe a goalkeeper.
There's been
because Bravo's contract's up. The Sane situation is up in the air.
Ben King has asked about it. Lick Hiff, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Someone else, I want to get the names in there for the guys. But in general, a lot of people asking about the Sane thing in general. Here's to you, Vincent, on Twitter. Said, do you think Sane will extend? Any news on that front? Has there been any murmurings from the camp or anything like that?
The only thing I can say now, and this sounds a bit like covering my back, but we all know, everyone knows in football how things can change. And what I thought when he got injured was, now he's going to be at City, he's going to stay at City. The Bayern interest, as soon as he got injured, never heard about Bayern again. There was never anything else. So you think maybe he thinks, well, they could have made a bit more of an effort. They could have even tried. They could have even made a bid after I got injured.
They went quiet, very quiet.
Yeah, and I thought maybe he would think, look, City are going to donate a lot of time to helping him recover. They're going to make him feel loved during that time. They can say, look, this is the new contract, or maybe say, look, the contract's still on the table, because I think like cheeky they had it, and Ferran, they had a history of doing that at Barca. When players were injured, they would still say, look, we still want you to sign the contract. I thought maybe they would even offer him more money, because that was, by the sounds of it, he was going to get much more at Bayern.
He's on low at the moment, isn't he? At the moment,
I think relatively,
60 grand or something
when his last contract would have been. Yeah. But even the contract that he could earn at Bayern, they might even go closer to that. But I mean, what I heard a couple of weeks ago was they'd said, the contract offer's still on the table, and he just hadn't got back to them for like at least a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if that's changed, but the whole going to have surgery, not with Kugat, his general demeanour. I mean, it's kind of provocative, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, people try to play it down, but it's 100% provocative, isn't it? The timing of everything and the links to Bayern and stuff like that.
So I'm thinking at the moment, the question is, the chances of him renewing, right now, I would say slim.
Yeah.
Whether they can convince him, now he's back, now he is doing his recovery, maybe something happens at Bayern and they can no longer afford him.
Yeah.
Maybe City.
Maybe as a storming into the season, he comes in.
You
exactly.
Never know, do you? Exactly.
Things change
with Bernardo not being, obviously you'd imagine by the time Sane is fit, Bernardo would be back in form, and if they're all still fit, it might still be hard. But you never know. He might come back in at the end of the season, and there might be injuries. He might play again as regularly as he did. He might. The thing is, the whole kind of backstory to this is he doesn't work as hard. He's not switched on enough as Guardiola wants him to be. So that's why he's going to have to improve when he is back. And Guardiola keeps him out of the team for those reasons. Sane thinks he should be in the team. And all this kind of stuff, and it's kind of snowballed from there. So it's a tricky situation. There are ways that it can be resolved, but the other thing is, I don't think he was particularly keen on the idea of Bayern, as if he wasn't going in and saying, this is a transfer request, I want to go, because I think he's wary as well.
It was almost like he was just there for so long that he eventually thought, I'll be all right, and it's like, it didn't seem like he was slamming the door.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it was like, well, I'll go to Bayern,
why not? It's Bayern,
I'll go. But it wasn't like, I'm going to Bayern. And I think part of it was, so here, in Manchester, you never, where does Sane go out to eat? Nobody knows really. Like, where does he go out to drink? Nobody really knows. He lives a quiet life.
Is he quite a quiet guy off pitch? Yeah.
I mean, look, if you look at how he dresses, he's a confident guy in that, but he's not like a major party boy or anything. He's quite a quiet guy. Well, but if you go to Bayern, you're going to be the biggest. You're going to be the biggest player in Germany. If you play for Bayern Munich, it's they're the German Real Madrid to that extent. People
and you're German
people are more
as well.
People are more interested in what you are, what you're doing, your family situation, where you go. People, there's more of a spotlight on him, and I think he was a bit wary about that. So, like I say, it's even before he got injured, it was kind of like, well, I think he would go if Bayern pay the money, but that's another thing altogether. But and now with the injury, how much Bayern value him at, how much City value him at afterwards, the contract get ticking down. It's a whole crazy thing, but it's a really difficult one, because I don't think he's like, I fully want to go. But maybe if Barcelona or Barcelona or Real Madrid, if they entered the fray for argument's sake, maybe he'd be a bit more like, I'm going to go and do that. But then again, in terms of the spotlight, it's the same thing.
Yes, it's the same thing, isn't it?
I think basically he's going to have to accept that, because if he goes anywhere after City, if he leaves City, he's going to go and be a major player for one of the biggest clubs. Yeah. Whether it goes PSG, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid,
spotlight will change,
Juventus, it's going to be the same anywhere. So he's going to have to accept that. And there's probably something he'd put behind.
I feel like football in general, it's just time is such a healer with these kind of things. And it said, imagine he gets a run of 15 games at the end of the season, City won a bunch of trophies, and he scores 10 goals or whatever. You can just things can shift like that, can't it? You never know. It might be the fact that he spends so long in the sidelines that you might go, I really miss playing football. It could be one of those things where, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's had a spell like this before in his career. So this is the kind of thing that can just change a player's perspective. You never know. But
maybe somebody else goes next summer, or might go, and they make more of an effort to keep him, and they can say, look, well, this guy's going. You're going to have much more time. And he goes, okay, well, I like my life here. I like playing football. I like winning stuff. Maybe, like, you're right. So things change. Well, It's something we'll have to monitor a lot.
Something will have to change for Angelino. The last question I'm going to talk about is from the 007 Bob, another great app there from Mabel. Said, "Why do we sign Angelino back if we aren't going to use him? Do you feel like
he's a backup.
Do you feel like
I hate people asking me this question.
You're so bored of the Angelino thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know you've been asked for it so often. But I felt like the preseason really harmed him a lot because he had an absolute mare. Like a lot of people, Angelino isn't that bad a footballer. Like he isn't that bad. He's at least a good footballer. He could even pass the ball in preseason, which is imagine Angelino must not be happy now. He's playing EDS games, and he was playing Champions League last season against Barcelona, Tottenham, all that kind of stuff. Can you see him leaving in the summer probably?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is why did City sign Angelino back if we aren't going to use him? Because he's a backup.
It's literally just a backup.
He's a backup. Because if Mendy gets injured again, or like in the first few weeks, if Zinchenko had got injured while Mendy was out in the first few weeks of the season, you've got no one. If Mendy gets injured again, you've got just Zinchenko. If he gets injured, so they needed someone. He was easy because he was cheap, he's homegrown, he could be put in the squad, fine. But he's a backup. At the start of the season, how many games have there been? 6. It's been a game up until midweek.
Yeah.
You got a week to recover. Zinchenko can play every week.
Yeah.
Fine. Mendy's coming back. Fine. Like Angelino is a backup. It's as simple as that.
It's simple as that, really. Just quickly on Cancelo.
I mean, maybe he'll play against Preston.
Yeah, I think
maybe it's too soon for Mendy to play. Maybe he'll play against Preston. It's a bit of a kind of to keep his mood up. But
it's a weird.
But I mean, that was always going to be the case. It was kind of if Mendy's injured and Zinchenko's fit, you rest Zinchenko so he doesn't have to play in the League Cup. He'd play Angelino. That's just about, other than that, he's not going to play.
Yeah, I think that's just about fair, really. It's not great for Angelino, but I guess he kind of knew what he was coming to, didn't he, really? I can see him maybe...
You'd imagine.
Yeah, he'd probably end up leaving. I'm a bit gutted, but it is what it is. But you never know. Things happen, don't they?
Again, like you say.
It could be that by the end of the season...
I'm not sure Mendy's knee is in great shape. Two major surgeries.
Do you reckon...
Another
He looked lean. He looked lean the other day. He looked different.
Yeah, he looked lean, but...
If it holds
you
up,
can look lean and it's the health of the knee that's the issue. So, I mean, we'll see there. And yeah, like I say, things can happen. Maybe Zinchenko gets injured. Maybe everyone else gets injured. He needs to play in midfield. Maybe he'll play. But the reason he's not playing at the minute, 6 games in, is because he's a backup. Let's finish on a positive one.
Go on then.
Not me being grumpy.
What about how long will Pep stay for? From Greg Baker. Oh, Daddy Deals. What a name. Well, do you reckon Pep's he'll do his next year, obviously. Can you see him extending? It feels like the season's going to kind of shape that, doesn't it? Because I don't know. It's really hard to say at the start of the season when he feels a little bit tetchy because obviously we just lost or whatever, and we're not firing on all cylinders yet. I don't know. What do you reckon? What's your instincts?
I don't know because it's really hard.
I don't think anyone does.
No, but it's because you get so much conflicting information. Now, I heard this morning that he's definitely going to stay for the next season. Yeah. But what I'd heard when I asked somebody recently who knows people around the club, he was like, from what I've heard, he's going to leave at the end of this season. Wow. So I was kind of working on that basis. But then, like we were saying with Sane, I was like, look, even if Pep Guardiola told me personally, if we'd gone out for dinner or we met him in the street, I'm leaving in the end of the song, I wouldn't write it because it's like, the way Guardiola is and kind of emotions or whatever. Yeah. And just the way football is, stuff can change. So it's like, even if it were the case that what my mate had heard from within the club that he was going to leave, I wouldn't hang my hat on it because things can change. But like I said, I've heard this morning from an equally reliable source, or equally unreliable as it may turn out. He's definitely gonna do his contract. Rodri, as soon as he signed, he was under the impression that Pep was going to see out his contract,
which is a big time for a player, isn't it? 2 years at least.
Yeah, exactly. So then, at least when you sign a player, then.
Because he wants to work with Guardiola, that's the point, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And you don't want, if you were a player, you wouldn't think, 1 season, that's not enough. But if you do 2, and then it's like, okay, well, then we'll see where we go.
I can imagine similar for Cancelo as well. He's not going to sign knowing he's going to be back up for a Walker for a bit, just to then Pep leave after a year.
So I mean, to be fair, going back to the instincts, maybe given that the fact that Cancelo, within a week of him signing, he was of the opinion that Guardiola was going to stay and see out his contract. Yeah. So let's work on that basis. Will he extend?
Who knows?
They're not going to be talking about it now.
No, definitely.
Because when they sort out the extension,
I reckon. I don't think they need to talk about it. Maybe because Cheeky and Ferran and those they're like 3 peas in a pod, aren't they? So I think they'll very much take each other's word for it.
Yeah, they're not going to send him a letter, are they? There's going to be a general thing.
Yeah.
And even now they're not going to be talking about it because it's the start of the season. There's so many important things to worry about. Yeah. When did they sort out the extension at the end of the 100-point season? It was once everything was decided. It was after the Champions League elimination, after the league was won. It was going, are we going to do it? Yes, we are. These are the terms. Great.
We may as well end it there then. So on that point, thank you very much, Sam, for coming in.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been great. Are you up for doing this next month as well? We're doing loads of stuff with the Athletic in general. Yeah, whatever. Like contract.
Why not?
Like Guardiola's contract. We'll just see how it goes, I guess, really, in general. And don't forget, go and check out the Athletic in the link in the description below. theathletic.co.uk/esteemed Kompany to get 50% off. It's the home of football writing. With loads of world-class writers like this man here next to me. No, you're so modest, so humble, so Guardiola. No ads, no pop-ups and all that kind of stuff. Loads of fantastic articles. Go and download it. Go and subscribe, like, comment, all the usual stuff. And we'll see you very, very soon.